We're in a moment of technological acceleration unlike anything the world has seen before. 5 years from now, life will look radically different, and the shift is already underway. I'm Rachel Wilkins, and this is The Good News Is, a show about what's next and how to meet it with curiosity. Each week, I'll talk with the thinkers and builders that are shaping the future, from the evolution of money to digital land, on-chain fashion, and even space travel. Let's get into it. On today's episode, I'm joined by Dr. Luke Coutinho, a global voice in nutritional science and alternative medicine. As technology and science evolve, we're gaining a deeper understanding of the human body, and with it, revolutions in health tech and the way that we approach disease. Dr. Coutinho shares his insights on the power of integrative medicine, blending the best of modern science with nutrition, lifestyle, and holistic practices to treat not just symptoms, but root causes. Together we explore how this combined approach is transforming well-being and reshaping the future of healthcare. Welcome. We are continuing our impactful conversations with thought leaders and visionaries from around the world. And today I have the privilege of chatting with an integrated lifestyle medicine specialist, and that is Luke Coutinho. Welcome, Luke. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So talk to us about the kind of day-to-day of what it is that you do, and then we'll get into a little bit more about the impact and motivation that got you to where you are.
Sure. So we have patients with cancer every day. And we also have patients with diabetes and cardiovascular, because our field of medicine works on the immune system, which is common towards any problem you have. Whether there's a hormonal imbalance in the body, whether it's acne on the face, everything is interconnected. And I think for the longest time, medicine separated this. You have a kidney problem, you just treat the kidney. You have a liver problem, and that's okay at the medical standpoint. But we go a little deeper. We try to address the root cause of the problem. Like, why do you have a hormonal imbalance? Is it sleep deprivation? Is it chronic stress? Is it your food? Is it over-exercising? Sedentary lifestyle? So that we can correct the problem. While medicine works, we think of it as a crutch. But as the patient changes their lifestyle, because we're addressing the root cause, your own doctor will say, hey, you no longer need medication. So our cancer patients every day, they're on chemotherapy, they're on radiation. And we know what the side effects of these drugs are. They're all depleting. Every drug depletes a couple of vitamins, minerals. And because it's depleted, you have secondary problems in the human body. So our job is to let the doctors do what they do, but we manage the side effects. So we put that zinc back into that body, that copper, that boron, that sulfur, through food. Food is our first choice, but the food chain is broken. Sometimes you have a problem with getting the right quality of food. So that's the time then we may use supplementation, that's approved by the doctors. But I think today, when we look at our patients, it's easy to put the immune system back together if the person is willing to make the change. You take the medicine, but you have to change your lifestyle. Right. You have to sleep better. You got to eat better. If you have emotional internalization, like repressed emotions, suppressed, along your healing journey, these things have to be addressed because they're all interconnected with sickness.
So take us back. What brought you into this field? Was there a moment in your kind of formative years where you were particularly inspired by somebody? Was there a mentor that led you into this path? What was that journey like for you?
Actually, I don't have that story. We grew up in a healthy family. My parents had this culture of health. I remember carrots in our lunchbox and cucumbers. But I studied a subject called food science and nutrition when I was doing my hotel management. And I didn't like hotel management at all, but I didn't have the want to tell my dad because he spent a lot of money on the fees. And I was like, let me just get through 3 years of that. But in those 3 years, I fell in love with nutrition. And then I said, there's anatomy, there's all these things happening in the human body. That fascinated me. And so I continued to study, joined the corporate world, but it always kept pulling me back. When I started to notice, I was in IBM for 10 years. That was my last job before I moved, into my private practice. And I started to notice the top management falling sick, simple lifestyle issues. And I was in an elevator one day, and I heard a very high position gentleman saying, I can't even fit comfortably into a first class seat from Mumbai to New York. I said, what's the point of all of this if we can't take care of our health? So I think there was that shift, and I wanted to kind of fill that gap. At that point in India, we had nutritionists, we had great doctors, we had trainers and gyms and everything. Yet the internet to tell people how to be healthy. So I came to the US because I was training and looking after the health of a patient over here. And I went to Yale. So I met Dr. David Katz. He was a mentor and very kind to introduce me to the subject of integrative and lifestyle medicine. He said, if this is the gap you want to fill, this is where you should be. So right then I knew this is what I want to do. People's lifestyles are the problem. We have expert doctors. I didn't want to go to medical school. There are enough of doctors doing a great job, but no one was fitting that space of lifestyle medicine. And I said, that's what I want to do. I want to come back to India and introduce lifestyle medicine. And that's what I did about 13 years ago. And from then till now, we've had fabulous, fabulous results with people. You know, we have less reoccurrences of cancer because we're focusing on the immune system. We're not using snake oils and essential oils. And it's just the foundations of the human body, like anatomy has foundations. If you put the foundations in, your own intelligence is harnessed to heal you. And then, of course, there's destiny. If someone's meant to die, they're going to die irrespective of cancer, a road accident. But then that's not in our control. What's in our control are the little things that we can do every day.
I feel like, I don't know whether it's media, the medicine community, the pharmaceutical community, but there's quite a primitive reaction to some when the idea of integrative medicine is discussed. Mm-hmm. Is that still a hill you have to climb, or are you seeing more global acceptance and recognition that this is a vital part of recovery and healing?
So 13 years ago when I started this in India, I had everyone against me because they thought it was alternative medicine, and it isn't. You know, our patients are being treated as we speak. And it got confused with that. And then we had patients going to their doctors and asking them questions about, what about my immune system? You know, what are you giving me to safeguard my immune system? They didn't like that. But I kept going, and within a year, everything started to change because I was very vocal. I use social media to tell people that if you have questions, ask. There's a lot of arrogance in, you know, thinking that what you don't know isn't right. But we're here to educate. So I moved into education and awareness, and every day I would put up videos on social media explaining to people, take your antacid, but why are you getting acidic? Now, if we do this, we can solve the problem. So people started listening. And I think that patients with education, because I thought there's no point fighting with the medical community. We never really had an issue with pharmaceuticals because we're not stepping on their toes. Right. Although I should tell you, we handle 3 or 4 of the top pharmaceutical owners from around the world. And I asked them up front, why aren't you taking your own medicine? And they say, oh, we've tried for 6 months. Let's try to change our lifestyle.
Wow.
So I said, why don't you tell your doctors too? Sell meds. People need meds. But tell the doctors to change your lifestyle. Imagine every doctor telling a patient, take this med, but you got to sleep better. You got to eat better. I think the system has the ability to change.
You mentioned mindfulness, and that's kind of been a thread of a lot of these conversations, is the importance of mindful practices, mindful building of mindful communities. How much of a role does mindfulness play in how you conduct your business and how you roll out these solutions?
It's everything. It's everything. Like if I wouldn't like to say my business is my patient, but it is a business at the end of the day. When I say it's a business, because someone's paying me to help them. Okay, so I look at it at that angle. Mine is not a scalable business. We've had people from the US, India, the Gulf come to us and say, because we have a great model that works. It's a very profitable model. We don't use investors' money. And we're also very clear that if we scale, we're going to lose the quality of what we do. We spend a lot of time with patients, speaking about their emotions, and it's not a scalable model. So we know that you can't move to a particular level of scale, and we've committed to that. We don't want that scale. We prefer to have people write and saying that, hey, my life's better, we've gotten better. So when I look at mindfulness is everything. Today, if people are mindful, they're mindful about how they feel when they wake up. They can connect it with sleep deprivation and say, hey, to feel better, I should sleep more. Or go out, eat your favorite food. But if you eat it mindfully, you know if you're overeating. You'll know that, hey, can I make a better choice? Can I get veggies on the side? For example, can I cut down the carb if needed? If I'm having a steak, do I need the carbohydrate? Or could I put a fibrous vegetable with it? So that mindfulness, these little things, I'm a believer of the compounding effect. We need to do little things for the bigger results. So mindfulness is everything. People speak without mindfulness and they're unaware of their anger, their rage, and it's okay to be angry. I mean, it's part of the human spectrum. All of us have envy, we have lust, everything. But when you're mindful, you channel it in the right direction. I can be envious of someone who has like a fancy car, but I can use that envy to say, hey, I aspire to have that car. Let me work hard and see how I can get that. So it's all about channeling different emotions, but for that we need mindfulness. So many people read books all the time, and spirituality, I say that's become a fad too, because people read and they talk, but they don't apply. There's no action because there's no mindfulness, that I should try this. So mindfulness in our practice is everything, and we teach our patients, even while they're going through chemo, be mindful of your thoughts. Are you thinking negative thoughts of the chemo? Guess what's going to happen? But what if you could say, while the chemo is going in me, it's growing my hair, like it's a subconscious mind. You get the program, the outcome that you want. You're not fooling yourself. You know the effects. So mindfulness allows patients to take the chemotherapy with a different mindset, or take drugs without fear, pharmaceutical drugs without fear. And that's the importance of mindfulness.
Talk to us about some of your favorite success stories.
So I think my first move into cancer was a call that I got about 13 years ago. It was about 3 a.m. in the morning, and someone said, we're sending a jet for you, and you need to come to this particular city. And I said, what's the case? So they said the patient has, we can't disclose the name, it was a very big family. The patient has about 2 weeks left to live, and we just want to see you. So I said, like, I'm not a medical doctor, there's nothing I can do. And the wife said, but Luke, just come. We've seen your content. Maybe there's something you can do. So I said, okay. I got on that plane and I reached the city. I went to see the patient. He was in cachexia, muscle wasting. Like you could make out he didn't have too much of time left. And so I asked for all the reports. He was suffering for 5 years. And I was sitting at a table going through the reports and noticing a couple of things in those reports for 5 years. Like critical things which may not be critical to the medical world, like low vitamin D3 for 5 years. You cannot fight a cancer with low vitamin D3. It's what the immune system needs. Low vitamin B12. So that's for your neurological function. The patient was suffering from neuropathy. If his B12 levels were high, he wouldn't have to go through that. So I said, okay, let's create a food plan, get these supplements into his body and see what happens. That client lived up for 5 years. Well, the next day, that was my success story. I mean, big families talk, and I was all over the country meeting people who had cancer. But for me, it was like, wow, that's the power of the immune system. You know, why should we not look at things that other people are not looking? But medically, it plays a role. So I took the simplest way in, trying to just set foundation blocks in patients' lives, and touch wood, that's been our success to date. And that's why we have most of the cancer cases coming to us in India, because of this very holistic approach that we have.
That's incredible. You know, when you talked about kind of your business not really being scalable, but you have the ability to reach a lot of people with your messaging. What's something that you, both on the macro and kind of on the micro level, that you would perhaps convey to folks on how they can live a healthier lifestyle?
I think because most people think I'm a nutritionist, that I'm going to speak about nutrition, that would be the first year of my practice, because you always want to defend your subject and what you do. Today, nutrition and exercise is at the lowest level. Above that is sleep and emotional wellness. And I'll tell you why. If I'm sleep deprived, I wake up with the wrong set of emotions. With the wrong set of emotions, I'm choosing the wrong foods. I'm not motivated to work out. So you see, everything's interconnected. If I fix sleep, I have better hormonal balance. What happens when we sleep? All the healing. Healing only happens while we sleep. Post-surgery, every doctor knows that, every surgeon knows that. We cut the patient open, but the healing will happen when he or she sleeps at night. So the whole point is, how do we move sleep into people's lives? Because in today's world, that's the most easily compromised thing, which is sleep, and that's the body's ability. That's why human beings sleep, to heal, to repair. So you can have a glass of celery juice for detox, or you could have deep sleep. Which one would you think is more effective? It's deep sleep. Because while we sleep, we automatically have detox mechanisms that are activated. But if I'm not well slept, celery juice and all of these things don't really act as detox juices. The second would be emotional wellness. You know, we're in a state today where too many people are living with repressed emotions. As human beings, we were never meant to be that way. We're supposed to express it, which is why there were always communities or family where you could talk about it. But today that's changed, and today it's medically proven that repressed emotions, suppressed emotions which are not addressed, can also be a contributing factor towards disease, metabolic disease. Then would come your exercise and movement, but not what Instagram tells you. It's what the body needs. What does the human body need? It needs flexibility. It needs mobility, cardiovascular, VO2 max, strength, muscle. It needs all of these things. So now you decide how to make your workout program, not just doing what Instagram tells you. So I can do a little bit of yoga, a little bit of stretching, mobility, lift weights, swim, jog, whatever you want. But you've got to create a program for what your body needs. We always look at what people tell us, but what does the human body need to sustain? So then you come down to nutrition. There are too many people over-exercising today and under-recovering. And that's why there's more injury and more supplements being sold to people. And then you come to nutrition, the basics. You can be so confused and depressed on social media because you just, what do you eat?
Right.
Yeah, what do you eat? But the point is, what works for you? People have put themselves into those boxes of low carb, 16-8 fasting, but we're all bio-individual, unique people. Like I've been in the US now for 2 days. I came in from India. My microbiome changes from the moment I breathe New York air. So we're constantly dynamically adapting to changes in nature, and we got to eat according to our body types. So some bodies are carb efficient. They should eat carbs. Some do well on minimum amounts of protein. But the point is, the more you look at all of this, you're more disconnected from yourself and you're trying to put yourself into a box. But the basics, what does the body need? Carbohydrates, good quality for energy, fats, and protein as your macros. Now, some people who like to get into ketosis can use energy from there. You can cut down your carbs if it suits you. There are a lot of people who can't be in ketosis for a long time. They get snappy, they get angry. So everyone's different, right?
Yes.
Or you could be smart carb. I can decide that I will have carbohydrates at every meal, but my protein, my fats, my veggies are more. So it's different for everyone. And then what nature gives you. We need vitamins and minerals, so we're going to get that in your fruits and your nuts and your veggies. So when you look at the longest living people, they have the simplest diets. I think more than looking at diets, people have to cut out junk and ultra-processed food. And when you do that, I would love to give you this example. So we have about 25% of our patients who don't get results at all. Some of them obesity, diabetes. In the first month of lockdown in India, all of these people started to get results. What was the only difference? No restaurant food, no home deliveries, only home-cooked food. HbA1cs came down, blood pressure came down just by coming down to simple home food. No macros calculated. So sometimes we think, we're so health obsessed, but we got to remove the things that are spoiling health. We don't always have to keep adding stuff. Because I like to give an example of the less privileged sectors in society. They don't have the food we have. They don't have almonds and pumpkin seeds. But what are the diseases they have? Typhoid, malaria. I'm giving examples in India because of hygiene issues. They don't have the lifestyle issues that urban people in the city have. And they're eating the simplest of foods. They're active. They sleep on time. So it comes down to lifestyle.
Makes me think about the Netflix documentary Blue Zones, where they talked about the things, the areas where people lived beyond 100, the things that they shared and the commonalities, and a lot of it was to do with having a sense of purpose is a huge one. Diet, being not so much exercise, but just being into movements, right? We sit so much, especially in the West, office job to couch to restaurant to. And we know it's so terrible for the body. How do you feel about the role that the media plays, the role that society, the role that things like, advocates and lobbyists for the sugar industry? There's so much to compete with to get your kind of message through saliently. Like, how do you approach that?
So it's a problem. 13 years ago, I decided I have an option to fight, to become like an activist against the food lobby. And I just started to study the history of it. No one's won. No one's won against the pharmaceuticals. No one's won against the food lobbies. So I'm not going to fight it. Let me choose to educate people. It is difficult because everywhere you go, you see advertisements, of junk food and all of that stuff. But the point is, I felt the only way was to educate and create awareness. And there are people who use awareness to have better lives, and then there are people who struggle. It all depends on the mindset of people watching an ad for junk food and believing that, okay, because a football player has a bag of chips in his hand, it's good for me. But we're trying to break that awareness because I don't think you can win the battle. And there are some battles in life that you got to choose your battles. Now, I don't want to waste that time in fighting something that you'll lose. Today, there are so many influencers in the US, India, fighting against the food lobbies, getting a lot of traction. But there's small changes that happen. And I believe that even though people, let's face it, most humans know what they should eat and what they shouldn't eat. They're still making the wrong choices, right? So at the end of the day, it's like cocaine and heroin. People know it's bad, but they'll find ways to find a dealer. So the point, it also comes down to us as human beings, the choices that we're making, the mindfulness that we have in our life, like which path do I want to choose? One of junk, then these are going to be the consequences. And I mean, there's a lot that the governments can do. It's so easy for a government to ban it. You could ban TikTok, but you can't ban junk food. You know what I mean?
Which is causing more damage.
Yeah. So
How do you feel about technology in terms of how, when it comes to your particular practice, do you see advancements that you're excited about that could be supportive of the work that you're doing? Do you see anything that's giving you pause?
See, I think technology is beautiful. We can get our message out. Anyone can get the right message out, but you can also get the wrong message out. And then with social media today and with the mental health problems, okay, like when people come to me with problems with depression, now you would think, why do they come? I'm not a psychologist, but they come because we treat the gut, and the gut has a direct connection with depression and the brain. Before they even get to speak to any of us on our team, we give them an exercise. You need to be off social media for 10 days. Only then will we take up your case. And you can make a log. Okay, I went on for an hour, 2 hours and stuff like that. You won't believe the people who do this, half of them already feel better.
I believe it.
They already feel better. So I think today, especially when not the whole of society, but most people are emotionally fragile, social media isn't the place for them to be. Because it allows you to be who you want. You're not facing anyone. It's driving social anxiety. People can't interact with people when they're face to face. It's a huge problem. And the thing is, we're all experiments right now. We don't know what the outcome is. We can see the outcome. Yeah. We can see it. And it's easy for me to say that, put intention before you go on to social media. Not everyone can do that. Some people use social media beautifully. But most people, because they're already emotionally broken, social media tends to kind of give them that dopamine that makes them a little bit feel validated or happy. It's a dangerous situation where we are in right now. It should be restricted for kids, for teenagers to a particular level. I think they need to put in those mechanisms. Yeah.
Finishing on a positive note.
Yeah.
What are you most hopeful about?
I'm hopeful about life because I see miracles every day. We see patients where the doctors have said you had 3 months to live and they're living for 15 years. I mean, for us, that's always hope. Like we have patients who have fallen off from the 52nd floor, broken a leg, and that's it. And, scientifically they should be crushed and, splattered. But I see hope every day in the work that I do. And I would love for people to believe, don't believe with blind faith that, hey, it's going to happen. But the point is there's always hope, because without hope, we're not living. And a lot of people who have given up, they're still living, but they're actually dead. They're just miserable, they're depressed. I love this word, and I think it's such a beautiful word for us. Even if we're having the worst time in our life, we need to start looking, count those little blessings. Everyone has a blessing to count. Okay? That's our hope. Our hope that something good can happen in our life. It is happening in our life, no matter how bad it is. But the human mind likes to focus on the negatives. Sometimes we get addicted to sadness, we get addicted to negativity, and that's where hope comes in.
Love it. Thank you, Luke. Such a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to The Good News Is. If you're excited about what's next, make sure to follow the show and visit goodnewsstudio.io for more stories, guests, and ways to stay connected. Until next time, stay curious.